our education issue if we really want to make violence go away.
Which brings me to my next question. You are running in the mayoral race for the 2017 year. So question number one is, what makes you feel like you are the right man for the job?
I think, number one, I've had a vast experience in terms of the police department, but it's not my sole experience in life. You know, before I was a policeman, I worked for the New York State Division for Youth. Worked in a group home, transitioning kids from industry back into their home life. You know, they go to this group home, go to school, get a job, do certain things that showed the state that they were prepared to transition back into a normal life. Obviously, my time in the police department, I've worked any number of assignments, worked in narcotics, worked in internal affairs, worked in the neighborhood empowerment team, which gave me a great insights in terms of the needs of citizens, not just around law enforcement, but the needs of citizens in terms of quality of life. Then I also, when I left the police department for a period of time, I worked in the school district. And that was a phenomenal experience in terms of dealing with young adults. Because, you know, early in my career, you think, got a problem, put a pair of handcuffs on it, problem solved. Mm-hmm. What I learned by going to the school district, and since that time, is that a lot of times how we, the police department, handle young adults can contribute to the issues that we see down the road, changing the lifestyle to the negative. And so I became very interested at that time in trying to be positive influence on children's lives, young adults' lives, as opposed to a negative influence through law enforcement. Then as chief, it gave me an opportunity to deal with businesses, developers, community organizations, all the stakeholders in the city that had an interest in making the city great. And so I believe that, you know, both through my experience and my executive experience, I've been prepared for this moment in my life to lead this city.
So you've walked these streets. That you've not only been entwined with the, you know, the Park Avenue, the East Avenue sectors of the city, but also you could say that you've been into the urban areas of the city. You've been into the Clinton, the First Avenue, First Street. You know what I mean?
One thing that I think stands out is, for me as chief, is the fact that, you know, if somebody needed to get a hold of the chief of police, they could get a hold of the chief of police. Mm-hmm. Anybody asked me for my number, I gave them my cell phone number, and they could call me anytime. Okay. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer all the time. It might go to voicemail, but I'm going to call you back. I took the time to do barbershop talks, go to barbershops. Why? Because whenever you have a community meeting, the people who don't come are the people that are in those barbershops. Mm-hmm. Young African-American men, young, even older African-American men, they're going to be there. Mm-hmm. And so I took the time to go to those because I wanted to hear their voice. You know, when you have a community meeting, generally the people who are going to come are going to be white. They're going to be older, middle-aged, and up. And you don't hear the young voice, you don't hear the minority voices. And so I felt it was important for me to go to them. And I also felt it was important to hit every sector of this city. You know, if somebody called me and said, I want you to walk Conkey Avenue with me because I want you to see what the problems are over here. Boom, let's schedule it, make it happen. And I think that's important as well.
Okay, so to wrap the interview up, my last set of questions is, so if elected mayor, we talked about already about some of the issues and key issues that young adults may have, but what are you willing to do, or what are you going to do, or your plans are to help the educational system, since we already talked about the fact that if we want better adults, we have to fix the educational system, and what are you willing to do to better the police force and how they go around to enforce the laws?
In terms of the education system, I think it's very important that the city of Rochester and the city school district have a collaborative relationship. You know, from my observation over the last 20 years, it hasn't been collaborative, it's really been confrontational. You know, there's been talk of mayoral control or taking over portions of the school district. I don't believe that's the answer. I really believe that by having a working relationship, we can move towards improving our school district to serve all of our constituents. Mm-hmm. In terms of the police department, again, I think it's very important that, number one, we build a truly community-based police organization that has section offices throughout the city so that you don't have to go downtown to talk to the police executives. You can go to your neighborhood. I think that's very important. I think that in terms of going back to the section model, which we have partially done, but we really haven't done the part where—
A lot of people have had a question about the sectioning model and stuff like that. I had that question asked to me yesterday. You know, I mean, they asked me precisely, how do you think, Sheppard, what do you think about the sectioning, and be able to say, hey, just because I live in this side of the city and I get shipped to the next side of the city, the only thing I can say is not every school has the same programs, you know what I mean? So I shouldn't be stuck from having, so what do we do to be able to make sure that every kid from every part of the city could be granted access to the programs like the fireman program, the chess program, East High School, the TLI program, the Edison Tech programs, and the other wonderful programs they have for engineering and stuff like that?
Well, I think it's important that the school district, along with the city of Rochester, look at, evaluate what they have in place and copy and build on the things that are successful. You know, we know that the fire program was very successful in bringing minority firefighters into the organization. We know that the Edison Tech, the old Edison Tech, was very good at bringing young adults into the trades and getting into the unions and being able to get into the various construction industries. We need to do that more because everybody's not going to go to college and everybody doesn't want to go to college. But we got to prepare people so that when they leave high school, they're prepared for something. Either it's going on to college or going into the workforce and getting a job that is meaningful, that they can have a career in, as opposed to just having a job that barely pays, you know, for their gas.